YouTuber claims it's much more valuable to corrupt Lord of the Rings than it will be to make it profitable. I'll admit, I kind of agree with that. I kind of believe the intention here is to corrupt it to a certain extent. I think that if they really had something that would excite fans, they wouldn't have given us a teaser trailer full of beautiful hills and not much else. Like, if it was really something that fans could get behind, they would have given us more. They give us this little bit so that they can say, "Hey, we gave y'all something, so don't be so weariful about not getting a trailer or any other thing or any news about it." So I think that was the whole reason behind it. But I think at the end of the day, they really, really don't want you to see what they've made until it absolutely has to come out. And then by that time, they'll have already called you sexist, bigoted, racist, name it. They'll probably make up a few words along the way, kind of like what they did to Star Wars fans back in the day. But, anyways, let's get into this and let's see what this YouTuber actually has to say. YouTuber Living Anachronism declared that Amazon Studios and Prime Video's goal with their new Lord of the Rings of Power TV series, is to corrupt Tolkien's lifelong work. The YouTuber made his assertion in a video titled Defending Tolkien. Amazon's The Ring of Power trailer is a distraction. He began the video sharing a clip of his prediction for the trailer. He says, "If I were Amazon and I was trying to push through something that I know was going to upset people, I wouldn't really share any information with this trailer." And I think that's what they did. They just put it out there so they could say, "Hey, we did show y'all something, so we're not trying to hide anything." Anyways, it goes on to state, I would tease just enough that people will be like, "Okay, okay, it looks interesting." It didn't really look that interesting. It looked pretty. I don't know if it looked interesting. It looks cool. It's flashy. Maybe a minute tops. Not give anything. Not give anything about the story. Not really say anything so that I can delay the huge amount of backlash and prevent anyone from boycotting the show as much as possible until it's released, he stated. And a lot of that has to do with, again, you see it with Batwoman. You've seen it with other shows as well. Of if they can kind of keep the hate down until you see it. And then when people flee from it, then they can say, like I said, all the things sexist, racist, so forth. And it gives them a reason to make another because it might turn fans off, but it gets traction on like Twitter and so forth and the media in a lot of ways so that they can help promote the show further. And people that really aren't familiar with the situation will come in and be like, "Oh, hey, you know what, this might not be such a bad show, and I've heard that it's got all this heat because of all these bigoted people and so forth like that, so they might give it a shot." But at the end of the day, it's not to attract fans of that particular thing. It is to try to garner fans outside of that while attacking the fans that really is supposed to be created for, even though it's not. All right, so let's see. I can't believe they've done this. Yep, it's exactly what we thought it would be. It's absolute trash. I can't believe they've done this. How could they do this? Now we're going to have to wait like another decade until the IP cools down enough again that we can get another shot at it. But by that point, once we've all seen it, everyone all complaining in their little isolated echo chambers, and it's not as effective as if they just say, "Hey, this is what we're doing," and then everyone goes, "No, we're not doing that," and then they lose a whole bunch of money at the box office. Not that Amazon even cares about losing money at the box office, he opined. Now, I would say this, let's say you bring, of course they had Shadow of War games, that came out and that kind of got a little bit of attention for Lord of the Rings. And of course they're coming out with that new Golem game. And then, of course, this Lord of the Rings series. It doesn't matter if this fails or if it succeeds, it's still drawing attention and it's still giving them where that if you don't like this series, maybe you'll like, I don't know, the next upcoming movie that's coming out about something that is based in this era, and they've already set down the groundwork. So if you don't like these characters and you complain about these characters, we'll expect more traction with these characters when it comes to movies because I can be like, well, it's a part of the lore now. So now we can use these characters that even though you might think they're sucky, they can still use them in like a la Ray Skywalker. I mean, that's what happens. It doesn't matter if fans like it or hate it. As long as it becomes canon, there's nothing anybody can do about it at that point. And if they want to promote that single person, they're going to promote that person. The YouTuber then asserted the whole go woke, go broke thing doesn't work because people pressure that which is most valuable, not that which is most profitable. Hmm. That's an interesting statement. Go woke, go broke thing doesn't work because people pursue that which is most valuable, not that which is most profitable. I'll be completely and totally honest with you. Unless you're a hardcore fan, you're probably not going to boycott it. You're probably not going to boycott it. Now, if it's like a niche thing, kind of where you've got a certain amount of people, like let's see, what would be a? I mean, there's a number of different different little shows that have like a fan, whether it's anime or so forth, whether they have a specific amount of a fan base. But if that fan base, they go woke in it and fan base doesn't like it, then they can't produce anything more out of that, and the show usually gets canceled. Um, but if it's a large fan base like Lord of the Rings, it's hard to get people to boycott it in large majority. It really truly is, unless it's just absolutely terrible. Because there's just so many different opinions on things. I mean, whether you're conservative or liberal, you'll have a different mindset of what woke is. I know I've had arguments on here about people saying to me, well, anything that has, I don't know, um, female main characters or a whole host of lesbian or gay characters would be considered woke to a lot of people. I personally don't consider that to be that way if it fits in with the storyline. But what I consider woke is if it's completely out of left field, it doesn't make sense for the story, and yet they add it anyways, and then they like put little snippets in it throughout. That is what I would consider more woke. But again, that varies from person to person. And again, that's the reason why, in a lot of ways, go woke, go broke doesn't work. So it's much more valuable for them to corrupt Lord of the Rings than it is profitable for them to corrupt Lord of the Rings. And they were doing it anyway. That should tell you something. These people aren't stupid. No, they're not. And I think too many people think that they are. They don't realize that they're making bad movies, bad series on purpose. The YouTuber would then detail the reaction to the trailer, which saw the Lord of the Rings fans criticize Amazon using a paraphrase of Tolkien's dialogue from Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, where Frodo tells Sam, the shadow that bred them can only mock, it cannot make not real new things of its own. I don't think it gave life to the orcs, it only ruined them and twisted them. And if they are to live at all, they have to live like other living creatures. However, he believes criticizing the trailer is a distraction, saying the trailer is literally a distraction. Criticizing it is a red herring. It does not tell us everything, and that is on purpose. Instead, he argues that the show should be criticized from a lore perspective, which I would actually agree with that. He explains the only argument that cannot be refuted, and therefore the one that we must make, is the Amazon blatantly disrespects the lore and, by extent, Tolkien's legacy. I would disagree with him on that one. Totally disagree with him on that one. Because when you have, let's say, the woke Twitter mob on one side, and then you have fans that are talking about the lore, fans can complain about the lore while the Twitter mob is thinking that you're really complaining about, I don't know, let's say female characters that are main leaders. Well, you're going this way with each other. You're not really butting heads because you're not really talking about the same thing. That's the problem a lot when it comes to these really far leftists is what they really like. They try to put words in your mouth more than they actually try to actually believe that you're really upset about the lore. So I would agree that yes, attack it on the lore aspect, but don't believe that that will actually get you anywhere. It will not. It will not get you anywhere. This could absolutely suck. Fans will complain about it, but by the time they keep making, I don't know, one or two more series or a couple more years of this specific series, um, fans who cared about it will lose interest in it and will not pay any attention to it. Therefore, there will not be discussions upon the lore of it anymore because they just won't care. And then by that time, it doesn't really matter how bad the ratings are. They've put it into the lore, and therefore they can use these specific characters or these specific storylines to then expand into other parts of this. And it really is kind of like a disease to a certain extent. The woke thing, holy, really kind of is a disease. It will infect at first and it'll be a little spot, and you're like, okay, well, as long as it stays there, I don't care. But then it just spreads and spreads and spreads. Eventually, it just becomes a whole thing. And that's unfortunately what will probably happen when it comes to Lord of the Rings. And that's going to be really sad to see. But let's face it, 2022, um, Tolkien would not be, if he lived today, would not be a very popular man. Doesn't matter how great his books is because of these Twitter mobs that go after George R. R. Martin. He's about as far left in it as is anybody can be. They go after him. They go after what's her name? The woman who wrote Harry Potter. I mean, they go after these people. They don't care if they agree with that person 110%. If that person goes outside of the line of what they think is acceptable, they will destroy them. And Tolkien would not have survived in this very era. And that's the sad part about it. But, anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with this guy? I mean, I agree with some points about it. I agree that it will be corrupted. I believe that there's going to be fan backlash. I believe that at the end of the day, it won't matter. It won't matter. It's where I completely do have my disagreements with this article is I don't think attacking it for the lore will do any good. I really don't. Um, it's a trap. It's a trap because at the end of the day, you're not talking to people that really care about the lore. They always assume that you are talking about something different than what they are. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoy our content here on RANTS, please like, subscribe, and leave that comment down below. And also check us out on Rumble and Minds as well. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all take care.